Hi, everyone. So excited to be here today, especially with my good friend and colleague, Beverly Glazer, who is focused on women's empowerment, and another new friend, Michelle Zive, who I just met through Beverly. And I'm so happy to introduce her to our audience today. Chat's wide open. We depend on chat to make us as relevant and focused as possible to create some wonderful takeaways that you can actually apply and get real benefit from. The word of the day is frustration, and I know it's going to go all kinds of places. So get ready for a really strong, exciting journey today. We've got our first comment already before we even turned it over to anybody. And with that, I'll turn it over to Beverly, and Beverly can give you a quick update, share what she's doing, and her first thoughts on frustration. Beverly.
Okay, first thought on frustration. Okay. It was really tricky to kick in to restream today. So I came in like the pretty well last second. And this happens all the time. Okay. Frustration hits us in all kinds of directions. And it's a great word because it can also create some really good things about as soon as you're really frustrated, can't take it anymore, and you can use it for an opportunity for personal growth. So, for those who follow me, you know I'm all about personal growth. I'm a leadership coach and mentor to women to live powerfully, to reach beyond their limitations. And you can always find me on reinventimpossible.com. And Michelle, I'm so glad that you're here today because you are a disruptor. And when you are disrupting things, it's because you've reached a certain frustration that you cannot take it anymore. Okay. So I welcome your comments. I welcome your suggestions. And Carrie, I welcome your jokes. So, so let's bring it on because we rely on you. And hey, Kelly, great to see you. And Christine, wow, wonderful. Oh, women, come on in. And men too, because you get pretty frustrated with us, and we can get pretty frustrated with you too. So I can go on, but I won't because I'm passing it on to Michelle. Hi.
Hi, everyone. Michelle Zive here. I am very excited to be here and to talk about frustration, although it's very funny because I was noticing Don's rest of his words for the week were like empathy and community. And I was like, oh, those are lovely words. And frustration has a negative connotation, but to your point, Beverly, it can make change happen. It doesn't make us complacent, right? It makes us angry and like, what are we going to do with this energy? So I very quickly got my PhD when I was 52. And I did it because there was a group of women who said that when I turned 50, I would become invisible. That made me frustrated. I was 45. I was top of my game. I was working at UCSD. I had 3 beautiful children. I mean, life was good, right? And so I was like, there's no way. So I went and got my PhD, and I mentioned this to both of you, and I mentioned this very often, but this was the impetus. There wasn't one woman mentioned in my first leadership class, not one. That frustrated me. So I had like 4.5 years of frustration. And when I got out, I said, you know what? I'm going to start a movement called Representation Rebellion, and I'm going to help women disrupt the stories they sell and tell about us by telling our own. And so my goal, my whole passion is to have women tell their stories so that we're not told that we're invisible when we're 50. We're not told that we have to look 21. We're not told that we're not leaders. So frustration's a great word.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I can't
Oh, yeah.
thank you both enough for putting us on such a great trajectory so early, built a great foundation for our event today, and really are so appreciative of this great audience that just lit it up from the very beginning. So let me recognize some of these beautiful people. Carrie's here almost every day, our local jokester. The musical note went to school. When asked why, it replied, "I wanted to be a little sharper." Good for you. Kelly's here. If you don't know Kelly, you're missing one of the greatest opportunities on LinkedIn. Kelly and me have been doing an every Thursday show, 4 weeks a month, sometimes 5, depending on the month, for over 19 months now. And Kelly has developed her own show, The Awesome Journey with Christy Howard, that really focuses on veterans and first responders, mental health issues, and just a fabulous individual and a great person to collaborate, part of our cohort team that me, Beverly, uh, Dave, Carl, uh, Harvey, and Con are part of. And it's just really, I'm so impressed with everybody's progress. And I'll go into that in a little bit. Christine is here, who's been following and supporting the show from the very beginning. Christine's an unbelievable individual, just got her MBA, mother of a couple kids. I keep seeing your posts with your beautiful daughters. And also just a really leader, works in corporate America, continues to advance. So thank you, Christine. Her comment, I got so much into introducing Christine, I forgot to comment. I would love to learn how to redirect frustration as something more productive. Looking forward to a conversation. Carl's here. Now, Carl is just
wonderful.
So high. Started with me in the program that I've been developing to create branded program shows for people. Carl started out within a short period of time, started his own crowdfunding show or funding show. Only last week did he launch his second show, which is working on a group of people who are focused on community redevelopment and is really making great progress. Kelly comes back with it can be the catalyst to innovation, frustration. Christine wants to automatically connect with Michelle. So right there, really making progress. Representation, rebellion, love that, Kelly. Here's a new person I haven't seen in a while or at all. Good morning, turning what is frustrating us into a catalyst for purpose. And also, good morning, turning what, okay, we covered that once. So thank you for your comments. My feeling on frustration is I used to be pretty frustrated, and it's easy to be. It doesn't take much effort, it kind of comes to you. But when I turned frustration into fascination, everything turned around, right? Because instead of getting frustrated with somebody, I would say, "Oh, that's interesting. How could that happen?" And take a more detached approach to it, because engaging in something you had no desire to be into is really based on someone bringing you into it and you allowing yourself to engage in it. So I think that's very important. I know Beverly works with some outstanding people, helping them in so many ways. How do you see and deal with frustration?
Okay, how do I see it, or how do they see it, or how do I deal? 3 questions here. Okay.
All three combined in anyone you want to pick.
Okay. First of all, I as well, I love this topic. There's so many ways to go. And Christine said it also. She said, how do you deal with frustration? Well, where does it get you and when do you quit? I think that's extremely important. We can hit a wall. And when we hit a wall because we're frustrated, we have to either take action or not take action. If you don't take action, what usually happens is you could become extremely depressed. You can feel nothing is good anymore. I'm not good. I am that block that can't fit into that round hole. Everybody else isn't seeing it any different, right? It's not about that. or you can make a change. Now, I just wrote a newsletter today. It's out. It's not on frustration, but it's on creativity. And the way your thinking is, and this is what I teach my clients all the time. You are right. How about that? Okay. I'm not telling you you're wrong. I may think differently, but I'm not telling you you're wrong. Okay. What you have to do is untwist your thinking, and that's what I do. You don't have to completely disrupt and blow yourself up. Never, never, never. You have to say when enough is enough. And when I'm working with people who literally sabotage themselves with food, with other kinds of addictions, with frustration that has got them there, with bad marriages, with businesses that are going in all kinds of directions, it's not about what's happening on the exterior, it's what's happening on the inside. And so, how you're changing your thinking makes, as you said, Dawn, I call it creativity. You can call it curiosity. Whatever you're saying now is literally saying, how can I change this? How can I make this work for me? And it doesn't matter what other people say, it doesn't matter what other people think. It's really about you. And when you take your own personal power in every or any way you do it, you don't have frustration because you're going to just go on your own path. And so get the support you need, talk to the right people, but don't feel that nothing is impossible. And that's why my site is called Reinvent Impossible, because when we hit the wall, we say it's impossible, but it's not. It's about changing your thinking. And frustration is a key. It's a key and a note to self that, hey, maybe I have to stop. Maybe I have to slow down. If I'm in a program and I'm not being accepted, maybe this is the wrong program. Maybe it's not, maybe it's not right for me, but it doesn't mean that I'm wrong and I have to fit in. And, I don't know, I can go on and on this subject, but the key really is to look at yourself and to say, what can I do differently? How can I make this work for me? Are there people I can talk to? Are there people that can help me? What do other people do? Follow other people that can get you out of it. And just on a side note, by the way, you can call me literally anytime, 15 minutes. Honestly, I'm sending that out to the world. Not everybody call me, just a few. Okay. But it's really the truth. Okay. I'm there to help people. I know Michelle's there to help people. So is Dawn. The bottom line is don't be so frustrated that you have to crash and burn. It's so not worth it. Read yourself, read your inner self. Michelle.
Oh, yes. Unpack. Let's unpack all that. I was just sharing with Dawn that last Monday, I badly sprained my foot. And and I was telling him that I thought I was doing well. I thought I was being present. I thought I was slowing down. I mean, I've been very frantic most of my life. So I thought I was more zen than I was. But what this did was it made me slow the heck down. I mean, really slow, where things are taking 3 times as long, which is very frustrating for me. And I was talking to my father and he said, and I was telling him all this. I said, I'm just so frustrated. I was doing all the right things. I thought I was. And he said, maybe this is an opportunity to start asking people for help. And I was like, oh, I hate when my dad's right. So I've started to ask for help. Is that really important? Do I really need to get up and go, do whatever? So I'm realizing I wasn't quite as focused. I wasn't quite as zen. And this has made me frustrated, but it's also made me really, really slow down. So to your point, going inwards is really important. But I don't want to downplay that there's many frustrating things externally in our lives. As a woman, I find things very, very frustrating, like the page wage gap, like I said, the media telling us that we need to look young. And I know that the system also affects men, but I can only speak from a woman's perspective because that's what I am. And so I see women oftentimes either being so rageful and maybe passive aggressive and frustrated. And then I see other women that are trying to do something. But to your point, Beverly, I really have to feel very grounded and very secure and very, um, again, the word Zen, but very peaceful with who I am and what I'm about, because it's hard to go out there and, to your point, have a different path, maybe not fit in the right, hole, I mean, like all these things where I've felt all my life, but I have to feel very secure with who I am in order to change this action into curiosity. And to both your points, I love the fact of asking questions and being curious, because it flips it. All of a sudden, it's like, I am so mad and frustrated, and I can't believe da-da-da did that, and da-da-da. And then, like, why did she do that? What was her motivation? I'm going to ask her why she did that.
Well, I think those are so important. And, some philosophy I've developed over time is every action you take either takes you closer to your goal or further away. And frustration is something that happens usually by surprise, right? You're planning on going a live stream and the audio doesn't work, and then all of a sudden, and time pressure adds to the frustration, right? If you got all day to fix the problem, you don't have a lot of frustration, just have a job to do. But if you're ready to do something and in 30 seconds something happens that takes you off course, the key really is to identify it and work towards a positive opportunity. Because, what I learned is everything is what it is, and then it's whatever you want to add to it for as long as you want to add to it, right? So done is done. Now, what do I do? And I do agree that if you're uncertain, ask a question, because sometimes people do things unintentionally or don't know the sensitivity of something. And they'll put something out there and people will take it the wrong way, or maybe take it the way it's supposed to be given. But turning it back to say, in a kind, thoughtful way, I don't really understand why you said that. I understand what the words are. I understand what you said. I don't understand what the intent was for. And some people may catch themselves and say, sorry, I didn't mean it that way. And other people may clarify it. And other people may say it is what it is too. But that's okay, because I think frustration is something you own until you decide to give it up and take action against it, right? Sitting still is not going to make anything happen. So, it's all about continuous evolvement, progress, and demonstrating that you're sensitive to other people's frustrations too, right? So you go out of your way to do things in a proper way where you model what you're looking for. You're putting it out there first, being proactive, and you learn from it. There is no failure, it's only feedback, right? Everything you do, you get something from, whether you want to continue to do it or adjust to it. But I think that's where collaboration comes in, because when you have like-minded people, they can kind of share, here's what I do when I get frustrated, or here's something. And I think almost all of the issues we deal with are typically based on someone being alone in their own mind and thinking they're the only ones dealing with this, or this is going to be so dramatic. And, a year ago, you can't tell me what you were frustrated about today or a month ago, right? So it's never going to last. And I have a saying I've been adopting lately: if it doesn't have a future, don't give it a present. I think that's worked out. But we've got a great comment from Ronnie Lowe. We can take our emotion, ask ourselves what thought prompted this emotion, and change our thought with a factual thought, not a positive Pollyanna hope, and neutralize that emotion or make it positive. That's well said. And by the way, Ronnie Lowe is a life coach and a habit coach. So I think this was probably very applicable to what Christine Feedy comes back with. I feel like I'm in an upside world lately due to situations beyond my control and too involved to address here. I'm feeling misunderstood, unheard, undervalued lately, and not sure what steps to take. I'm pausing, self reflecting. It's complicated. I'll finish it. Just trying to do the next right thing. And I agree, Christine. One thing I know about Christine after all the times we've had interactions with is that she is an overachiever. She's always doing more and a lot more, and especially for a lot of people. So when you increase the amount of activity and increase the amount of interaction with people that you're really close to, you're going to have more opportunities to kind of push the limits and get some frustration. But I also think you got to count your blessings and balance it with the good things, right? Nothing should be viewed in a vacuum. By the way, Samara's here. Samara seems to come whenever Beverly's here. Beverly's our big magnet for people,
Hi,
especially
Samara.
who are here to learn and grow. Hi, Christine. Good to see you. Uh, Kelly's like such a big cheerleader, but a
Yeah,
sincere,
Kelly.
always there to support everybody in so many ways. So moving it back to, I believe it's Beverly.
I don't know where to move it back because each of you spoke with so much to say on what both of you have said that I've kind of lost it. So
Don't get frustrated, Beverly.
no, I'm not. I go with the flow. And by the way, that is the thing. Okay. You said something, I'm going right back to what you said, Michelle, which is sometimes it's hard to know what journey you're going on. And that's the same with Christine. You put in, Christine, in your case, so much to your children and so much that you've got your MBA and you expect something out of your career. And guess what? It's not what it was in school. When you're back in the real world, very often I've spoken to doctors, when you think about it, look at all the years that they've put in and they say, I hate medicine. What do I do? I'm frustrated. I love medicine, but I hate the system. This is a problem. And when we have these frustrating problems, we do have to get grounded, like you said, Michelle, And I'll tell you, for me, and I've got many frustrations, trust me, but you see the way I seem so cool, right? Okay. Woo. Okay. I get grounded every single day and sometimes twice a day. Okay. Meditation for me just calms things and puts things in perspective. Just like you said, Dawn, if it doesn't matter tomorrow, why does it really matter today, right? I mean, you said it better than that, but that's exactly what it means. What it really is how can I make this work for me? And when you are frustrated, all you want to do is finish this up. All you want to do is, in my case, today, boom, 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 boom. I have all these things I have to do, right? Usually I don't get them all done. Do I want to? Of course I do, or they wouldn't be on my to-do list. But what I have to do is put them into priorities, and I have to know what's right for me and when I have to pause and when I have to take a break. Your world should be run by you, not the world running you. And we've got enough stuff to throw us just when you're feeling good, like what happened to you, Michelle. All of a sudden, boom, this happens. I have a client just this week. What happens is she's in real estate and we're working on growing her business and she's thriving and she's getting all kinds of things happening because she's changed her mindset. And she says, you'll never guess what happened, Bev, this week of all weeks. I have to go to the doctor. I have now a boot on my foot. I banged my toe, and it's the same kind of thing. And now I have to slow down. Well, when we're going like crazy, we have to slow down, unfortunately. And the way we've been brought up is to keep on doing, keep on thriving, keep on making it happen. You have to be a success in the name of the world. Well, no, 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 no. Okay. You have to feel good, and you can't sabotage yourself, because if something's going to happen, it will. So you have to have the bandwidth to be able to handle it. And so frustration is just a key. And that's a key for personal growth. It really is. So in Christine's case, what you have to do, Christine, is say, what is really going on? Maybe there's a gap between where I want to go and what is going on and what's stopping me. And so you kind of make it work for you. And sometimes you have to pivot and switch gears. But the bottom line is you have to feel comfortable within yourself. And frustration is a key that's just going to say to you, slow down, figure it out, ask questions. And can I just add, great things have happened because of it, like the Me Too movement and women's liberation and equal pay for women and changes in policies and politics. You name it. Even Hollywood, there is the, what is it, white, the Oscars are white, hashtag, that kind of thing. The bottom line is we're speaking up that this doesn't work. And if you're in a group and it doesn't work for you, you do have to take another road and find your tribe, because they're out there. They're out there. So poor Michelle, you're not with a boot though, right?
I'm not. I tried a boot, but it was frustrating.
Yes.
So, boots are mostly for like sprained ankles. So this is the middle of my foot. So yeah, I'm getting better. It's all good. Like I said, I can't complain, but I have, believe me.
Oh yeah.
I want to get back to Christine. I was you. I'm a little bit older, I imagine, than you are. I have a 35-year-old, a 32-year-old, and a 21-year-old. But I have been where you're at, and I have been an overachiever and a type A and straight A's and getting my PhD and running big community projects and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And this is the story we need to disrupt for women. We can't be everything to everyone. We can't take care of everyone. We really, really, really have to practice self-devotion, self-compassion, grace for ourselves.
Yeah.
I don't know one woman who doesn't beat themselves up for, you name it, their body, their looks, that they're not achieving as much, that they're not getting paid as much, that they're not, the list goes on and on. And what women normally do is they turn that frustration in. So to your point, Beverly, where you said that becomes depression, complacency, like, who am I to try to change these things? It's so cliche, but I will say it, you have got to make yourself number one. No one else is going to make yourself number one. When my dad said you need to ask for help, I did. And to my husband and to my son who live here, and to my daughter who doesn't live here, and there were mixed reviews on it. I will just say, and it's because I have been so competent. I'll just do it myself. I'll just take care of it myself. Stop taking care of yourself and just really figure out what it is that you want. We don't ask ourselves what we want. We ask other people what they want. We give plenty of advice outside of ourselves, but we don't ask for what we want. And I think starting with self-devotion, self-compassion, so that you can really figure out who you are and how to take care of yourself. And to your point, Beverly, you meditate, I write. So there are other ways. Dawn, what do you do to, get rid of or practice self-compassion or anything like that?
Well, that's a great question. Thank you so much. I kind of lead off of not so much what people say, but what people project. And just now, Beverly was laughing and enjoying the conversation, although we're talking about frustration. And I do believe a sense of humor goes a long way, right? Like
100%.
something happens, you say, how could that possibly happen? It's like one in a
Yeah.
million. It happened to me. And you become comfortable. It's not so much what happens is how long do you allow it to affect you? And you'll
Mhm,
see something that's frustrating today, 3 days from now, you'll forget all about it. You dropped a
mhm.
ketchup or something like that. And it's simple things, but it puts you off of your schedule, right? You
Oh, yeah.
drop them, you got to clean it up. It's not the end of the world. But geez, if I was on my way somewhere, now I'm going to be 5 minutes later and it's going to put the squeeze on me, which also says get in front of things. Don't put
Mm.
yourself at the last second. How many people wait until they can leave for the airport so they get there just in time? And meanwhile, if there's traffic or you have an issue or something comes up, you're frantic. Why not leave that half hour early and ask yourself what you were doing the half hour while you're waiting to leave, which was probably just waiting around, watching something, reading something, and give yourself more time. And, have a sense of humor because, especially as you get older, time gets more precious. And you don't want to ruin a good day based on something that had nothing directly related to you. And plus, if it happens to you, it probably happens to everybody. So it shouldn't be that dramatic. And you don't know what bad is until you see what somebody else is dealing with. I mean, someone's got a bad thumb and they drop something on their foot, they don't feel their thumb anymore. Right now, it's the bigger issue that counts. And I do believe sharing it makes it easier, takes the pain out because people. Yesterday's word was empathy. And we had all these people in the oil and gas industry, and a gentleman from Calgary who's running a huge business. He finances companies for providing 100 million to 5 billion in capital all over the world. And he was the one who chose empathy. I thought it would be like drilling or something like that. But, down deep, we're all human beings, living the best we can. And the other element we talk about it many times is gratitude, is counting your blessings. What is it in context? If you lost $10 relative to whatever you have, it's only $10. And whatever happens, you can say it's only this, right? It could have been worse, and I'll do just fine. And after a while, you've lived life long enough to know that it's going to happen. And when it does, it's just part of living. You can't just ride the peaks and never visit the valleys. With that, we got Dennis here, who's here about every day with Carrie. Dennis has been in heating and air conditioning for 49 years. I don't know why I keep saying that because I don't think anybody in Montreal is going to contract Dennis to go fix his kitchen, but it's just part of it.
You never know.
You can't tell. Dennis says we have a future when you're present. Thanks for presenting your show. Thank you so much, Dennis. Quality person. And, someone who continues to build a reserve of goodwill has room also. People are there for you because that's when you find out who your friends are. Not when just everything's good, but when you need a helping hand,
Yeah.
especially someone you've been helping a long time. And to Michelle's point, uh, you never know until you reach out, but it tells you something. Everything is a clue towards a bigger story. And I know Michelle's into storytelling. Be great to do a show, just a storytelling show. And actually, uh, I'm starting a show with Bill Barkhouse. That's the drone show. So we're starting out with his first appearance as his show because he's into drones and technology.
Awesome.
Kelly comes back with, I found part of my overachievement was to try and prove the I'm not good enough wrong.
Yeah.
And again, Kelly has had so much quality experience as CMO for large companies, mainly in the financial industry. And I remember her telling everybody that at one meeting, a big meeting, she was told, "You're just here to be seen and not to be heard."
Mhm.
And you know, when you start, that will get you frustrated
Yes.
because there's something to surprises and accidents or something to overtness, right? That
Mhm.
you really don't have to ask the question answers itself for you. But again, it tells you where you're at with who you're with, and it's better to test the waters early than have this presumption that I'm like okay. And finding that out with a question makes a difference. And also standing up for yourself in a good way, right? Because people will push until you push back or hold your ground, right? And that's how you're going to gain respect, or you're going to understand this is an unworkable situation we're in,
That's
and
right.
everybody has choice, or hopefully can have choice. So Beverly, you know, looking at frustration, I'm sure a lot of your clients, if they weren't frustrated, if they could handle everything themselves well, they would probably reach out for help. But you know what we say here: if you can't do it, could we do it together? Can I get that piece that you've been looking for, Beverly?
Okay. Oh, I love speaking to that. People always come to me for one reason, and the one reason would be I'm stuck somewhere. But why do they stay? So that's where the frustration kick in. But why would they stay, right? Once the frustration is over. Well, I have clients that stay and come back, and I've seen it for like years, not because they have the problem, but because they want to grow more and better and stronger. And what happens is I ask questions, I plant seeds based on their story. And we all have a story, yada, yada, yada. We have all heard that from everyone, right? But those stories carry our lives. And I know they've carried my life for a long, long time. And Kelly, I'm just like you. Yes, I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not this enough. I mean, back in the day, I was a child actor. Okay. If you want to think about not good enough, duh. Okay. And then I came, not that I wanted to be a child actor for everyone, not that I wanted to grow up and be an actor, but the bottom line was you immediately are in that role. And I was in a very artistic and creative role. And I was in a family that wanted you to do that because that was the cultural and right thing to do, you know. However, now that you've done that, change gears, grow up, get a husband and a picket fence, get an education. My mother was a social worker. My dad was a doctor. There was no doubt in my mind I would not be in university, and which I did, but I studied creative stuff. Not so good, right? So then when I was working with stories with Indigenous people, because that's what that got me, I went back to school. Oh, yes, they love that. She's back. She's back in the tribe. Oh, great. Okay. And yes, I was on the PhD track, and I said, boom, destruction. This is not for me. And it was like, oh my gosh. Okay. We almost had her, right? Yeah, this close. Yeah. But you know what? No, it wasn't for me. I started working uh, clinically. That's really what I wanted. I didn't want the PhD track. I wanted to work with people. I did. I worked with them in all kinds of high places and really, really, really low places. And it gave me a wonderful experience to be who I am today. And now, but there was always, when I was speaking on stages, should I put on that clinician hat? Because I can talk the talk, no problem. But it's not me. Okay. And so if you're in different conferences or something, you have to wear those hats until I said, hey, no, I'm not going to wear those hats. I am going to actually be coaching using my tools. That's how I got into coaching in the first place, using the tools that I have, all the clinical tools, but in the language that I speak and the way people do understand it. And that's how I worked in my office. And now I work with all kinds of high level leaders. And what it is changing story. And so you're only frustrated if you allow yourself to be frustrated. So people come with me with problems. That would be your frustration, no problem, because it's there. How do I get there? Or how do I lose weight? This is not me. I've heard that so many times by really amazing executive women that just cannot stop being on that pace, that they just have to do the 100 hours, and I mean 100 hours a week. It's crazy. Okay. But these are high achievers. And so what you have to do is take a look at where your life is going. Take a look at the story that has been programmed for you. And is it really you? If it's not you, as you said, Michelle, you need the self-esteem to do it. And I did have, thankfully, a husband behind me who literally said, who thinks I'm the absolute best thing. So that really helps, you know, I do what you like, you can do it, right? It helps because I came from a family that was very judgmental. And so if you have that in the back of your mind, then you're going to be judging yourself harder than anyone else who loved you ever did. Okay. So know what you need. And it's really helpful if you have supportive family and people around you and, you know, and friends that'll push you farther rather than saying, what do you really need that? What do you need that in this stage of your life for? Why don't you do this, you know, and follow what they think is the right road for you? When you do that, you will be very frustrated. When you follow your heart, you will never lose.
Well, that's
There's
wonderful. But before I turn it over to Michelle, I want to recognize Harvey, who's part of our group. And the reason I do it is because Harvey's show follows this, the franchise show. Carl Dakin show precedes this, his funding show. Harvey says, hey, Don, Beverly, Michelle, good to be here. Sorry I'm late. And you're right about time. We all own a time machine. Imagine being late and think I will buy myself an extra hour by leaving early. And I know Harvey has to leave to get his show starting. And he comes back with the drone show. Love it. I may be doing a show about inventions. That would be great. And that's part of our cohort group is we all work with each other, support each other. And everybody's taking a little different track, little journey on their own that's personal and professional to themselves. And then we all regroup and share. Harvey says, it's always good to be here on the show with everything we're all achieving and how far we all have come. This feels like home full of friendship and support. Throughout all the growth of your show, it still has the same rhythm, pace, gentle, caring. Let me see. I've got more. Harvey's prodigious nature that I, to this day, try to emulate. It was a year ago that Harvey was in the audience. About 8 months ago, he started the franchise show, #1 show in franchising on LinkedIn. A couple months ago, started the franchise brand show on Thursdays, and that's taken off and become one of the #1 shows in its category already. Harvey is just so innovative and creative in what he's doing, and I can't wait to learn more about some of his sponsorship programs. Harvey comes back with what was your childhood acting debut? Harvey's a little bit more of an active musician. Also, Dennis says you're a PhD person helping dummies and others. And he had one more statement. Agree, a good attitude adds to yours and others' gratitude. And one last one from Dennis that says, agree, if you drop ketchup, pick up and remember to catch up. Well, that's important. So with all these wonderful comments, I'll turn it right back to Michelle.
How do I follow that? There's just so many things, but I will tell a personal story since I am a storyteller, and I love getting a group of women together to tell their stories. I haven't had one group where most of the women say, "Oh, I thought I was the only one. I thought I was the only one that felt like a loser. I thought I was the only one that was trying to catch up and catch up and be like everyone else in comparison. And why does Jane down the street look so put together? And now on Instagram, all these moms that have it together. They don't. They don't. So this was many years ago. I got married at 21, had Molly at 25, and had Kelly at 28. Molly had a ruptured appendix when she was 8 years old, my oldest, and she almost died. The surgeon said it was bad. It was really bad. And I said to the doctor, "You're not mincing words, are you, doc?" And what I learned, I had been running around like a chicken with its head cut off. My husband was a traveling salesperson, and when he was home, he wasn't there. So I was doing a lot of this on my own. I was raising my girls. I was going to work. I was, doing all the juggling, and I was living the life that everyone expected me to: be a wife, be a mother, have a good job, have a car, have a house, all these things. It looked perfect on the outside. I was dying on the inside. And when Molly had a ruptured appendix, I said, no more. I'm not living everyone else's life. If I would have continued down that path, something even worse would have happened. I don't know what that is. We don't have to find that out. But I decided to take my power back because I had been up to that point till 3 decades had been living everyone else's life. I had been the caretaker for my parents. My dad was an alcoholic. I mean, the whole thing. And so I want people, women to find out what they want, what they desire, who they are, and stop putting on the masks. I mean, Beverly, you said like putting on this mask and then putting on this mask. I was a mom, I was a friend, I was a daughter, now I'm like this integrated, authentic person. And I just want people to really live their most authentic life. And in order to live your most authentic life, you really need to know who you are and what you want, and what you're willing to compromise and what you're not willing to compromise. Mm-hmm. And to everyone, both Dawn and Beverly's point, finding a community. We have a loneliness pandemic, and we're misunderstood, not heard, not seen, and once you start telling your stories, no one says it's empathy. It's the only way we can have empathy in this world. So we're so polar opposite on so many divisive things, right? But at the bottom line is that we're all want the same thing: connection, community, love, understanding. I mean, all these beautiful things. So
yeah, that's beautiful and so valuable, because when you're a part of something bigger than yourself, you don't think about yourself as much. When you're the whole ball game, everything is a plus or a minus all the time, and the pluses are easy to accept, but the minuses kind of take you off course. And that's why collaboration groups are so important, because if you got 7 people, everybody's responsible for about 15%. Just like this show going round robin whenever it does. Everybody has a voice. Everybody needs to have an opportunity to share that voice and evolve that voice. You don't get better by yourself. You get better with yourself. And it's not what you make, it's who you become. Too many people are so financially materialistic driven that at a certain point, I find, especially as people get older, they spend almost the majority of time making money instead of understanding they're going to run out of time before they run out of money, right? And why not start balancing? And I think that's where a lot of frustration comes: is you're riding high in this area, and this area. Here in one area, you've neglected it to put more emphasis on something else. And just like a plant, if you stop watering it, it's not going to be as healthy as it could have been. And where's the fire? I've understood there is no outcome. There's only continuance. if you say by Thursday this has got to happen, well, Friday's going to show up. What do you do then? Right? You just continue from where you were Thursday. So a lot of people also put boundaries and time frames on that are unrealistic. You know, how many people say, hurry, hurry, let's get going? And you ask, where are we going after where we're going? Nowhere, right? But it's just people get in this rhythm of move, 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 instead of, like Beverly alluded to, meditation or to writing. You know, there's a saying in business, pay yourself first, right? And if you don't, you'll probably be the last to get paid.
Hmm.
And the other thing is before I switch it over to Beverly, on an airplane, they always say in case of something, the oxygen things will come down, put it on yourself and then help others. You wouldn't put it on a child who couldn't help anybody. So actually making yourself stronger, making yourself happier is going to make everybody around you better for it. And you're projecting the opposite of frustration. And, you know, sometimes it takes discipline, you know, where you catch yourself. Like my usual reaction to this is going to be this, but I can fast forward and know where this is going to take everybody in this situation, and maybe we can avert that. So, Beverly.
Again, you've given me so much stuff. Okay, where do we go with this? Okay. This is frustrating. Okay. So, okay. Yeah. Back to, I think, what you were talking about, Michelle, which is you have to also know yourself and you have to know that your story matters. And I'll go a little bit on the other side. Your story can also be holding you back because we keep living that story. So you can keep writing that story, you can keep reading that story, but take a look where your story has to get you. You have to go past your story. And I'm often speaking to people who keep going back into those limiting beliefs that their stories have given them. And it becomes frustrating because you reach a certain level and you can't go past it. And that would be in your work, that would be in your family life. You can be amazing as an entrepreneur. And when you go back home, you say, "Ah, nobody really likes me there. I better go back to work where I'm really happy." And then you sell your business or whatever that is, and there's this huge gap. Well, I speak to people like that. Or you've lost your job. I speak to people like that. They've been trying. They're older. And what happens is, as you know, there's that ageism here. No matter what you've accomplished in your life, hey, you know, you're old. Maybe there's a reason you lost your job. Yeah, the company was downsized. Well, maybe that's not the reason. Whatever. Okay. Women have that huge insecurity that we're not good enough, as Michelle was saying, because of our appearance, because of our age, because of our, you name it, because, okay? So what it has to be is inside, I have value. Inside, if I don't have value with you, I can find where my value is somewhere else or create value and have a side hustle until you get where you really want to be. And it all takes the power from within, the knowledge and the feeling, because you can know it all up here, but why don't we do it? We don't do it because we don't feel it. So that is really what I do. I can tell you everything, but it's not a TED Talk or a self-help book. You have to feel it. When you feel it, yes, you'll stop those bad habits. Yes, you'll do things that are positive for you. You have to feel worth it. And it's the feeling that you have that will break your frustration. Take a look when you're frustrated. What is going on? Are you hitting a wall all the time with these people, with this job, with coming home in tears? And that's where you're saying, okay, then I need a new job, but I can't because this one pays so well, or I hate my company, or I hate my kids. That's the truth too. Okay. So it's not about the kids, it's not about the company. It's really about tweaking what you have and making it work for you. Basically, this is what I do. So if you want to say, I'm getting out of frustration expert, okay? As we all are experts, right? It's like, it's not about that. It's really not about one thing. It's about a composite of everything, all your thinking. And as Michelle does, it's really changing thinking or disrupting what's going on in your head that's keeping you down. So that's pretty well what it is. Do not keep yourself down. You know, there's more than enough people that are so willing to do it. Don't do it yourself.
Well, that's terrific. And, you know, it's amazing how fast Beverly can respond in a spontaneous way to multiple questions and things that were said and do it so eloquently. We've got Samara here from Tehran, actually.
Wow.
Promise to love yourself a little more every day. You are pushing forward despite it all. And comes back with, whenever I'm so frustrated, I will go to a hospital and it reminds me I am healthy so I can overcome every obstacle. Everything is relative and has context. One thing I'll add before switching it right over to Michelle is a lot of times you got to be the first one to forgive yourself. You've got to be the first one to say it's okay. It's like, you know, and why not? Why not be your own best friend instead of your own worst enemy? Sometimes people say, well, I'm living for others. A lot of times you're holding too high a bar for yourself. And there's always hopefully tomorrow, right? And, you know, what's important is based on how you view life and how you respond to life. And I think there's no reason not to find happiness even in simple things. So walk in the park, you know, birds, nature, food. It's where you focus is where you're going to get the most benefit. And if it's always what just happened or fear of what's about to happen, you're sitting there in the purgatory of the middle. And how much time do you have to enjoy the present? And the other thing is, how do you celebrate your wins? If a win is taken for granted and a loss is something you take to heart, eventually all those heart taken elements are going to make you feel bad. And you shouldn't ever make yourself feel bad because you're the only person that has control over you. You know, you can't control other people or what they do. Okay, have some more. Dennis says frustrating and laughable works well together, reduces the gaps. Samara comes
Yeah,
back.
it's true. It's true.
Caring is the first step for success and peace of mind. Absolutely. Dennis says, agree. Don't be fussy and be less frustrated. So, Michelle, had to get those questions in. Coming up on top of the hour, it's amazing
Yeah.
how fast the show can run, especially
Yeah.
with no script or intent, except for a quality word. Michelle, what can you say in what
Well,
you've just experienced?
yeah, I'm blown away and almost speechless, but I promise we only have one more minute. I just want to say thank you for this time. I hope that it's helped. It's helped me. And this is, I mean, every time I get in this kind of discussion, I learn more and more and more. So I'm really excited about that. And back to two things that came up for me is, I think another word that we should concentrate is on balance. I don't think we have enough balance, yin and yang, masculine, feminine, all those kind of things. I think we're out of whack completely. And now I don't remember the other one, but how frustrating. But again, thank you. I'm just very excited. And again, thank you for the opportunity.
Oh, you were stellar today. I have to say, Michelle, for being a newbie here. And I know Beverly makes everybody look better and be better for her uh, interactions. And really, that's the most important thing about the commonality we have in our group is everybody's got a kind, generous heart and wants to see other people do better as much as themselves, sometimes even more. So, Beverly, your final words and thoughts.
Well, my final word, first of all, thank you, Dawn, as usual. I love these Tuesdays. And thank you, Michelle, for joining me. I knew you'd be awesome, really. And to everybody, just remember you're number one. You really, really are. And I think I want you to carry that, because if it doesn't work for you, ask yourself why. What is going on? And if there's too much opposition, pivot, ask questions, see how you could make it work. And if it doesn't work, you may have to change it. And that's okay, because guess what? It always, as they say, the universe works in really strange ways, and it always works for the best. So go with your heart. Don't get frustrated. A little bit sometimes when you're frustrated, take a break, just get back to it. And by the way, you can always reach me, reinventimpossible.com, or right here on LinkedIn, or on Tuesday with Dawn.
Well, that's terrific. Boy, this was a fabulous show. Had outstanding comments and a great amount of people that showed up. I know
Yeah,
Tuesdays
yeah.
they all show up in bigger quantities because Beverly's here and people know what to
Thank
expect
you.
from these shows. And hopefully we made it a lot of fun for a lot of people, created an opportunity that you can go forward from here and take this momentum and this positiveness that we've shared today and leverage it. And if it works, do more of it.
Yeah,
Always go with what's working for you and what's working with you. And, it's a big world. So many people have to expand their small world that they live in. And, what I also say in conclusion is try something new, because you can always go back to the old tomorrow, and sometimes, like Beverly says, the universe is waiting for you, opportunity knocks, you got to open the door. With that said, thank you all so much. If you can, go to see Harvey's show next. And
yeah.
Carl's show again is Thursday. So much going on. It's so much fun to see people thriving and succeeding. And I couldn't be happier. So, with that said, go out, make it a great day. Tomorrow is the drone show, Bill Barkhouse and Dave Snell. Thursday is Kelly Stanecki with Jason Gerardo. And those will be great shows. So it just